Hi, I'm Deb Burnham. My pronouns are she and her. I've been coming to TAB for a long time. This is the first time we've done anything like this, so it's kind of exciting. I'm looking at the passage from John 12 where Jesus is anointed by Mary. It's a passage that's troubling and exciting. In fact, there's so much that's troubling in it that I can only do about a third of that, but that's fine. So, I'm going to start reading the text. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Here, a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served, while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Then Mary took about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But one of the disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected, Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages. He did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put in it. Leave her alone, Jesus replied. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. This story presents at least two big problems. One is the problem of money and charity, as Judas points out. Must we give our savings to the poor so the money goes the farthest? Or is it permissible to blow it all on an extravagant act of devotion that doesn't put bread into the mouth of a starving child? I'm going to pass on that other big problem, the poor are always with us, and how that verse has been used as an excuse for being stingy. I want to focus on the other problem, Mary's behavior. It was all right to anoint your guest. Even women could dab a bit of scented oil on the body of a visitor or on somebody who was ill. Mary was likely overjoyed to have Jesus at her table, and she wanted to honor him with something precious and sweet. Most of us would have imagined her washing her hands and discreetly stroking one finger across Jesus' forehead, leaving a small, sweet, shiny trail. But no. Mary goes big. She used most of that whole alabaster jar. John tells us that the jar held a pint in some translations. Imagine a pint of milk, then change it to a pint of very expensive, very sweet stuff. That's a lot of ointment, more than was needed. And it probably dripped on the floor and stained Jesus' robe. What a waste, Judas would say. Mary poured sweet oil on Jesus' feet, then she touched him in a way that can shock us. Now, the Bible often asks us to imagine people touching Jesus. On his travels, people would reach out to touch his hands or his robe. Mary, his mother, touched him in the intimate and necessary ways that parents touch infants. She washed his little butt, wiped his sticky face. Joseph gripped his son's hands while teaching him to use a hammer. The disciples touched Jesus and each other, greeting, saying farewell. But the speed, the intimacy, and the strength of this Mary's touch is a real shock. She gets so close to him. Too close? She anoints his feet, and then, here's the most shocking part, she uses her long, thick hair to wipe his feet. Think about it. Her hair soaked up some of the oil, and her hair probably picked up dust and sand from his feet. This is erotic, uncomfortable, familiar and strange at the same time. Let's imagine that her hair was thick and long enough to use as a towel, not the dainty napkin she would use for a more delicate anointing. Mary has involved Jesus in an intimate act of welcome, and she didn't ask. She went right in. She didn't ask and she didn't apologize. She welcomed him with sweet oil as she would often welcome guests, not just a little dab, and not from a discreet distance. At this moment, I'm all with Mary. Good job, girl. You showed us how to go big, go deep with adoration. She uses her body to celebrate his body once more, for the last time. John tells us that house was filled with that musky, flowery scent. Martha did the cooking. Mary prepared the house for a meal that was not exactly a celebration. She knew what was coming. She knew she would never have a chance to anoint Jesus' living body again. This meal, eaten in a house that smelled like musk and flowers, not fresh bread, leads us right to that dark Friday and that dark hill. Jesus tells Judas to stop carping about the cost of the oil. Let her keep the rest for the day of my burial, he says. He says this to Judas. He does not have to explain it to Mary. He trusts that she will be there. He honors her shameless, extravagant gift. And that's the good part. She gave her friend and her Lord all that she had, and she gave it without limit. She did not hold back. She did not say, is this ladylike? Is this polite? Is this too much? She did not stop to ask if she was worthy to be so dramatic, so erotic with all those men around. The only thing that mattered was this. She had one more chance to honor the body of Jesus, whom she loved. She did it with her body, and she was not ashamed.